back. I don't know why all my streams dropped, but that's okay. We're just doing this the amateur way with the amateur mistakes, and that's fine. Perfect transition into this part, which is where I'm starting the base coat color. I have taken my tree and I've done the priming with a Mod Podge black paint to create like an undercoat, base coat of black to show where the Mod Podges hit, and then also to create that solid color background so that my paints will look the same across the tree. So I don't have to be as careful. I'm going to do a pretty solid coating of this folk art real brown across my tree now. I was explaining washes. When we get to washes, it's one of the lighter things you do. Later things, not lighter, that you can do. And so a wash is just a liquidy paint that you pour over it. It'll go into the recesses of the texture and to create that illusion of the light not hitting into the recesses. I was saying a YouTuber that paints was saying, it doesn't behave exactly like light. It behaves like water, and so sometimes it's not a perfect illusion. He was a photographer, so it did bother him more. So he had some other tutorials of how to do light and shadow recesses than just doing washes. I'm still going to use a wash. This can just come out as more of a painterly look. I don't need it to be photorealistic. That's not my goal. I want it realistic, but not like I grew a bonsai tree for my table. Well, that would be cool. Probably be too fragile to play with much, though. You may know how to gently handle it, but your players may not. They'll want to climb into the tree and put their minis on it and knock it over, touch it. Some bonsais are really fragile. So I figured I'd start the bottom first, but not the true bottom, but towards the bottom of the tree first. And I'm going to flip it upside down and paint the base, take a short break, and then come back and do the tops when the base looks dry. Well, maybe not. Actually, I might just leave the base black. That's true. And just kind of get these little, like, where the root goes underneath instead of the flat parts. But this is where you can kind of see down where that root bends. Just want to make sure that, different angles of the table don't be like, oh, okay, it's just black under there. Give that illusion that it is a tree with roots growing right out of the ground. Again, if you're asking questions in chats, I don't see them right now, unfortunately. I'll work on that for the future, however. Especially if I find a good time that other people love to watch. I'd love to chat and talk. People have good questions, good tips, good advice. I don't mind doing that. I feel weird talking to myself when there's nobody watching, but this is also for future tense. People catching up, binging, or replaying the back. What did Jordan do that one time that I liked? But again, I'm just copycatting other YouTubers like Black Magic Craft, Wylock, RP Archive, where I follow his Patreon. Some of his newer videos have my name in that video, which is super cool to me. This tree is based off a video from Tabletop Witchcraft. He's really cool. I think he's from Maine, somewhere up north, northeast. He has a very Dave Franco accent. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not from the area. But that's why his videos were soothing to me, even though I don't build or plan to build the kind of things that he's built sometimes. I watch them all. Like the sound of his voice. Yeah, it's looking good, looking good. But yeah, if you're looking to get into just very beginner, or even, like I feel like I was a better painter than a beginner just because I liked painting a lot growing up. But I still wanted to just do something easy, something cheap. I was inspired to do all this just from watching videos by Black Magic Craft. Um, he does a lot of like dollar store finds and turns them into Dungeons and Dragons tabletop things. I think the first video I watched of his, I was inspired by, he took like a toy from the Goodwill or a Dollar Tree and turned it into a miniature, and I wanted to do that. I was like, wow, that's smart. Just to have monsters on our tables, because at the time, I didn't have a 3D printer. I didn't have tons of cash, obviously, but I like that idea of having things we can use. And we were playing D&D with the same set of like 10 miniatures. We're like, okay, just pretend this one's the goblin and pretend this one's the dragon, etc. But they're still the same characters. We make very unique PCs, but we'd be using the same. I guess I'm the girl elf, even though I made a Warforged cleric. I'll just play as her. She represents my character on the table. So I wanted to create more tabletop miniatures, and I like the idea of doing it fast and cheap and making it look like it still fit the settings. So that's where I like Black Magic Craft. I have one of his shirts. I think I Patreon him as well. But he is very big on showing you that any skill level can do this. Like, you can absolutely do it, and it comes out really nice, really great. Like, this is not hard to do at all. I know, like I said, I like to paint. I'm nowhere near as good as, like, competition-ready paints. Sometimes a little more than table-ready, but that's because I like to spend my time and do it in my free time. But I still like the idea of like doing things fast, easy, cheap, and unconventional, unique. And that's kind of what I really liked about his, especially about like some of the things I never considered I'd be able to do, like creating dungeon tiles and cave systems out of just foam and things. Very inspirational. RP Archive is the one I really like right now because he took the idea of modular. That was where I couldn't figure out earlier. But taking something modular, systems that some of the other guys have made, especially Black Magic Craft and Wylock, and making cohesive modular, but like more realistic looking, less cartoonish. No offense, but like less cartoonish, more realistic. Like if it was modular to itself and to other things. So, say Wylock has like a modular, everything fits together everywhere. It is very easy. It is like cereal box cardboard, and it does look good. But then I think Black Magic Craft took it to a level where it like kind of matches your miniatures that you would buy in a more advanced realism. I think. Okay, no offense. Wylock's system would be really cool if I had it. But since I have nothing, I was like, let me start at the top. And so that's why I like RP Archive. Because he's taking those ideas, everything's modular together no matter what, and creating it with magnets and creating it with, where it's just the edge of your temple can turn into a cave or into city streets. You can put walls, you can build buildings out of the pieces you build. I really like that idea. But this tree definitely works for it. They all have different theories on how to do trees, actually. And this one's good for like a big giant tree. I don't know if I'd be able to create more that look exactly like this. But like I said, I bought these other trees that are smaller, pre-flocked little things that are plasticky. But most of them are kind of this size, that are the same size as your miniatures. So, it doesn't give you the illusion that you're in a giant forest that's looming over you. Like a tree like this might be the biggest tree in the forest. But I might be able to kind of come up with like systems to make more trees that go with this one without being so big. But I do think this will be my king of trees. get this paint a little bit more wet so it spreads easier. Oh yeah, there you go. Getting big blobs on the outside just to get to something in a crevice. It's really coming along. I think I paint so fast today. Honestly, for this project, if you wanted to just get to this point where you paint it brown, you could be done with painting it if that's what you are okay with. This still looks really good. It doesn't look like cereal box, um, cutouts or anything. But that's what Wylock did, of course. He made cereal box cutouts look really nice, but it doesn't look like toilet paper and sticks anymore. But by putting the brown, I think for a lot of people, this is really good stuff, and this is if you want to go just as far, you can go just as far. I'm going to go further because that's just something I do. Uh, Again, this isn't really a tutorial video as much as telling you what I'm doing. If you'd like to do it, I feel like the original tutorial video would probably be a better one to check out. And then while you're building it, you can listen to me ramble on about stuff. But the original video is an easy trees for tabletop gaming or decorations by Tabletop Witchcraft. I may actually, as I've been painting and everything, I've been thinking about other things I can do. And it's not too late. I would just have to do a couple steps backwards, but it's not like I'm starting over. Well, I'm considering putting in like a knot hole into the side of the tree somewhere. I'm thinking this back side here because I think there's a lot going on this side where you have that crook where a mini can stand. But if not on this back side, having maybe like a knot hole, or there might be ideas I have for like making a little as if someone had carved their heart with their initials of their sweetheart into the side of it. I don't know how I'd pull it off, but that's something I'm thinking about. Probably just take a light tan, once under the bark when you carve in, it's like the wood is more tan than the bark is more brown. But I think what I'd do is in one of these recesses, maybe melt a little bit of this glue with a heat gun, and then do a hot glue like a flat layer right here in the heart shape, and then I can use the X-Acto knife to carve the initials, and then when just Mod Podge that section and to prime it again, same colors, but then do like where that's carved with a knife is more flat, having that be like the wood grain color on the inside of the tree, and then the wash, the inky black, will go into the recesses where the initials are really nicely, I believe. So it won't be too hard to do that, but that's something I'm thinking about. I might play with that later. And of course, if that looks stupid, just turn it back into a novel. I was looking for little beads of animals or minis of animals that are like little tiny crows or squirrels, like how he had it in his original video. And finding that are, I guess, worth it to me to come this quickly. That I'd need it or like to have it. So I may crack my 3D printer open this week and see what I can do about creating like animals or things that can be on there. Just having it dry for a little bit here. Maybe I'll 3D print like an owl. An owl my tree. I really like squirrels too. Maybe red squirrels. I paint them. I'll have to go look, see what STL files I can do, and see what my 3D printer can handle this week as far as little decorations like that. So yeah, it's not perfectly coated, but where I miss, it's just black in there, and usually where you miss is going to be the deeper recesses. At least I hope so. And it doesn't matter too much if there's some recesses show black and some don't, because I feel like the black wash will even that out on both sides. Um, Dry brushing is another technique that we'll use later. Um, and that's where you get like a really thin layer of lighter color paint. This is not dry brushing, it's the same color, but it shows because it's wet. But you'll do just over the top of the texture, and it'll make it look like, obviously that's where the light's hitting more often. Um, yeah, it doesn't show up on camera at all, but the wet paint sometimes shows it as if that's what I'm doing in person, I think. But yeah, as you kind of go like a light brush against the texture instead of with it, um, you're going to create these lighter tips of the texture. And that also gives the illusion of realism. more realistic at least. Oh, this is the wrong color. Good thing I stopped myself. I like acrylic paints because they're cheaper obviously, but they dry faster than other paints, like oil paints. I mean, and then they're easier, more forgiving than watercolor paint. My gosh, I don't know if you can watercolor miniatures. You probably can. I know some people oil paint their miniatures. Oil takes forever to dry, but it's pretty long lasting. A couple oil paintings in my house that I did. It's really coming along. Should have taken a picture of it when it's black for my Instagram. But alas, I'll take a picture of it when it's a solid brown. And who will know the difference? Who will need to know from pictures, just watch the video. If you guys ever have questions, you can always message me as well. Think I'm doing something right, think I'm doing something wrong, too loud, too quiet. Suggestions, ideas, things you want me to try, I can do those as well. If you live close by and you want to do art with me, I'm always down. Just let me know, like, hey, I want to do something. I want to paint miniatures, or I'd love to create a project where we create little houses for gnomes or the goblins, and I will go all out. I will get all the stuff we need or could possibly need, and we'll be ready. It's really helpful. It has been helpful even when I have crafted with other people, because some stuff that they do impresses me so much. Where I'm like, dang, what have I been wasting my time on? And they'll be like, oh, I'm not that artistic, and they come out this stuff where I'm like, this is my best painted minis. Or even just ideas of like the colors or the things they'll use. I had somebody, she didn't really watch anything like I do for crafting, but she took my grass flocking and put it on a miniature of a giant spider with glue, and then sprayed it firm, and then painted over it to make it look like a tarantula, like a hairy spider. Even though it's not designed to look like that, she made it look like that, and I would have never thought to paint over my flocking to look like hairs until that day. And it's probably a technique people have used on YouTube before, but I thought it was genius. She just thought of it because she saw what I had. So I don't mind crafting with some people close by. If I try something, obviously it takes a few hours, but I'm always down. Message me. We'll make it happen. Even though I have weird hours and weird days off, we'll make it happen. To see where I have missed whole branches at the top, but I'm not as worried about where it gets thick and you can't see in there, because we're also going to put tons of the fake foliage leaves in this. You won't be able to see as much of this wiry dead tree stuff, but it's going to be really helpful to make sure you do a good job everywhere, Not a perfect job, but it's a good job everywhere because you never know what will show through, or one day parts of your clump foliage falls off, but you can keep playing with it because it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's just the dead part of the tree. Instead of like, oh man, that's obviously where your piece is falling apart and you have to retouch it up or make new ones. Kind of like your toys as a kid when they break and you can see where they didn't do the detail. Or like, you know, uh, like a Barbie and a Ken doll where it just looks like underwear on their skin. But it's not even painted nice or nothing. It's just the same color as the Barbie doll. Like, you had some room for detail and some room for no detail. That's what I'm going for. Is I would like it to look like I thought about everything, I cared for everything. So if it does come apart, the insides, the underwear starts showing. It's like, okay, well that's the underwear. Although if I thought really, really hard about that, I would want to do aluminum foil that was tan. So if this ever like a branch breaks off, it's like, oh, okay, look, that's where the branch broke. It's tan color wood inside. I've done that with 3D miniature models, printing them in a red resin before I paint them. So if there are bricks off, it looks more like, oh yeah, that's the meaty blood under there. We can keep going. We don't have to fix it right away. This looks really good. Yeah, just here on the base. Anywhere that maybe you'll see through it. We gotta do the whole thing. Maybe I'll touch up with black later. Maybe it'll look like that star pattern. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Because my roots are so long on this star pattern base, it is really helpful that this tree doesn't fall over easily on my table. I was messing with it earlier to make sure it doesn't fall over. And you kind of have to pick it up and put it over on its side, or you have to really punch it or something. Which, although this is like a very rubbery, dry super glue or hot glue material, I'd rather not punch it, but this helps continuation of an illusion. Okay. Some of these crevices missed some spots. Wow, okay. This came along. 30 minutes from black to painted brown. Each layer goes a little bit faster than the layer before because you're putting on less paint. You're doing surface. You may be able to see where I've missed spots in the crevices that is still black. I can see them in person, and that's totally perfect to do. Like, I'm not going to turn this upside down and make sure I got every crevice like I did with the black paint. Like I wouldn't. I'm not going to do this as much because of that very reason. Light generally, and a tree outside is going to come from the sun or the moon. It's going to come from above. It's not going to come from below as much. So it's going to look more realistic to the players on the table. I guess this is not correct anymore. was pretty quick too. So not bad. We went from black to a brown tree. Not bad at all. Looks like a tree to me. Pretty cool to make more of these. Maybe make a tree house, but it seems advanced for now. No, my aluminum foil left this. This is thinner than a toilet paper roll. I'm thinking about cutting that sucker in half, or maybe even to thirds, and making some smaller trees to match it. But that might be a future project, or actually, it might be perfect for any friends of mine who want to come and make some more trees and do it themselves, so that you know your style, your fingerprints, your handwriting of version of whatever it is to roll your own branches and on sticks and hot glue will be slightly different. So it'll make the trees more unique if different people make them versus if I keep making them, they're going to have the same, uh, I think, too much similarities. Even if I try to mix it up, sometimes just having a different brain really makes those trees unique. All right. Stretching a little. Let's try that show. This tree is pretty cool because you can really show what it might look like for a miniature about it. That's how it looks on camera. So there's a little miniature of me in there. Again, he's going to tip over if I show the camera perfectly because my camera is vertical instead of horizontal. But yeah, so they can stand up on the tree. I got my finger propping him up, but that's how they'll stand in there. A little bit of bigger ones. It's perfect for your players to climb up into and get advantage on their ranged throws and bows and stuff. But it also could be awesome for the ambush of a goblin or something hiding up there, shooting firebolts at you. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do our dry brush of a lighter color. I don't know if this is coffee brown by Volcom. Let's see if that's light enough. Just a little bit here. Turn off our fan because I don't need it. So I'm just gonna squirt a little bit. See what it looks like. It's really similar. Okay, so dry brushing. I use this paper towel that I've been using. Dry brushing, you're going to want a dry brush, first of all, not this wet one that's sitting in my water right now. But dry brushing is a technique where you get your brush, you dip in the paint, but you want to keep it really dry. So I got it just on the tips of my bristles here. Then I'm going to take a paper towel, kind of rub it on there to kind of dry out the paint a little bit. You see it's like thick. So now I'm going to go over the texture against the grain and just leave bits of that paint on top. So it's definitely working. I don't know that it's showing quite as bright. I might still use it as a first layer, maybe like a thicker dry brush, so I get more of it on there. Um, and then I'll do a lighter dusting with the gray to kind of really bring out the highlights, but also that trees kind of have a gray hue to them. Let's see what I'm doing this. Yeah, the color is so similar, it's hard to see, but I definitely can see what it's trying to do, which isn't bad. So I may go a quick dry brush, slightly more thorough, but a quick dry brush, and then a light dry brush of the grayish on top. But I want to stick a tiny bit of tan into my gray because I know um, sometimes the gray just really washes it out. Even though I've been a proponent that trees are actually gray and not brown for a very long time, we believe that they're brown because of a good reason. In fact, that they generally are brown. But just in the dried out outside parts of your trees, if you look out your windows, they're kind of gray. It's up close that we realize that they're not. The dry brushing, I think, will show up better in gray on camera. So that's very solid. And that's where I started dry brushing. You can really see it on this long branch. And again, you want to keep your brush dry because if it gets wet, like if you dip it to change colors or to like leave for a second, um, what that does is makes it so the mark as well. It more like wet blend into your paint as well. So dry brushing is important. Make sure you're ready to go. Ready to go to the bathroom for a long time. You're not going to talk to your neighbor for a while. You're not going to take your dog on a walk for a while. Unless you're going to do part of it, clean your brush, leave it out to dry. You have that much time. But anything in between, taking a break where you can leave it out to dry after you cleaned it, and taking a quick dries too much into your brush is where you want to do it. So sometimes think about that. If you got appointments coming up, or your dog's begging to go out, hopefully your cat doesn't spill her own litter box everywhere. I don't see that. So I got on this side, dry brushing up here, not so much. Solid color, dry brush. You see that? I know my webcam's not amazing, but I can see it from here. In person, especially, obviously, but I can see it on the camera. Alternatively, you can use the same color, add a little bit of white or a little bit of like a light tan or gray to, like if I added some to my original brown color, the real brown, that can also create the lighter color that you're looking for. Dry brushing, my goal is not to get any in the deep recesses, whereas the base color, I didn't mind if it did, I didn't mind if it didn't, as long as it was kind of a consistency. This, I want it to really just be on the upper levels, outer levels of the textures outside of the recesses, giving the illusion of the lighter color being hit by the light color being as if it was all one solid color, but it's just darker because of the shadows. Because, yeah, your overhead tabletop dining room set light is not a good representation of the lighting that you may be pretending in your heads. And yeah, we kind of take reality and fantasy hand in hand to see what's real. It is what it is. fine. Yeah, I think I dropped it. It says I'm live. Did my stream drop? Let's find out. Nope, we're still going. Beautiful. I got my snacks. Look at all this brown color. It made us crave chocolate over here. Sorry, I've been sitting so long I stand up and I start painting. I realize that the camera isn't quite pointing at what I'm doing. Now you guys can see my stomach sticking out. But maybe this will be a progress pic. We'll see if I get bigger or smaller as I do these projects over time. Oh wow, remember way back then? Before he lost all that weight, or before he gained all that weight? Now you guys got proof. You got a little before. Pregnant. Just kidding. I wonder if my friends will use these videos to embarrass me. Probably use that clip. I didn't take a picture of it. I keep not taking pictures. Alright, well, we'll just do pictures of after our video sessions. Watch the progress inside the video sessions.
Right on time. Back by the beach. Still going to the heat. Bring the heat. The heat.
Sorry, I'm still doing it. Still pulling it out of frame. This whole point while you're watching, so you can see the painting happen. So you can see if you're doing as good or better than me. It's looking really good. Pretty proud of this. I have a lot of small tubes of paint, but they're a nicer quality. And they're for miniatures, whereas I get these kind of cheap dollar store acrylic paints, um, bigger tubes for terrain. I feel like Magic Craft explained that really well. You know, like it's gonna come out nice. We're doing broad strokes, bigger paints. Doesn't have to be as nice. Fine details, competitions and stuff. You might want to do nicer paint, but we're making the easy and cheap look really nice. We don't need to break our banks to do so, especially if you're building it for yourself. It'll look just as nice as you want it to be. So no need to go out and get the nicest paints ever, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So if you make mistakes, you don't feel as like waste of money. And then it's good to start with the basics, kind of understand how paints work, how they move, how they flow, and then you can appreciate when you do graduate to a nicer paint, depending how it flows, how it moves, how it works, how it behaves differently. So you can like, wow, I know how to use that. Nice. Let me take a picture of this. Because that's much more, it's making the texture pop a lot more. With my camera lighting setup, it's not perfect. But yeah, so it's really showing that texture a lot more than it was when it was just that solid brown. So I see the different color differential. See what's on the bottom. Right? Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit because I want to do another layer of dry brushing. I have to get another um, brush to do so because I need to brush the paint for this one. I don't always put this one to try. This is not the nicest way to treat your brushes, but these are the cheap ones from the Walmart. Okay, I am back. Excuse me, back again. So I'm choosing this color. It's gray with like some tan to it. It's called Barnwood, and I'm pretty sure I scoured the internet and bought every single tube of this. I love this color. It's perfect for like the terrain I built, being the dust color on top. And I feel like this would be a good dry brush of that gray without it going too black and white gray, but have that like feel of the gray bark I've been mentioning this whole time. There's a lot of remixes of this Lavender Haze song. Oh, it looks like this color is the one I'm doing. I could have put it there. Oh well. Let's find a brush. It's not a TaS but these remixes are pretty fun. I think it's the worst brush I have, at least for the type of bristle it is. This hay bristle. I don't know what it's called. So hopefully nobody goes on the internet and says that's the ancient Michelangelo style brush and it's worth $12 million because I'm running it so I wet. It's my mistakes. Okay, so gray dry brush dusting. It's really gonna highlight. Oh yeah, oh yeah, this is gonna be it. So I'm going a lighter touch than the coffee brown. Um, the base coat being real brown, the next layer I did coffee brown. But you see how that is. Right now it looks pretty dumb if you don't know what I'm trying to do, but that's really perfect. And then after this, you do the wash. I'm probably gonna do like a black wash with like more brown in it, and it will mute this down to be more light again. But then if it pulls in the recesses, so if I accidentally get some in the recess, it's not too bad. It's not gonna be such a big issue. Um, Everything is fixable. Everything is workable. Oh, I didn't take pictures again. Oh well. Listen, be here or be queer, or be both. I'm queer. I'm here. Be there or be square. You snooze, you lose. You go to work and make a living so you can function in a society that's ever growing to be more and more expensive. Or you miss out on the steps that I took to make this tree that you don't care about that much. It's a tough choice. I get it. Let's see. On camera, this looks really bold, but I've seen the magic of dry brushing and ink washing, and it is where we want to be. Yeah, it's playing something. That's where I got too much into a recess by accident there. Kind of rubbed it out, but a wash is going to deal with that appropriately. And if not, as long as you're not doing it like tons of places, if you need to come in with a brush and color match a little bit and just deal with some things like a tiny one, that is what I'm here for as well. Yeah, this brush is not great because bristles are coming out of it. Hey brush. Hashtag hey brush. Hashtag my brush. Dry brushing and ink washing is magic. You can really do two colors, the base color and a dry brush, and then do the ink wash, and it's gonna look like you color blended the F out of it. It's gonna look like you spent years painting that sucker. Love this. Isn't that Cassie like a calculator watch? Honestly, any stage of this painting process today, you could have stopped anywhere if you wanted to. This would be table ready. You could have stopped at black and had like a more horror themed tree. You could have stopped at brown or even the brown base coat. You could stop now at the dry brush and just have the barren tree look. It's totally fine. There are barren trees. There are dead trees out there. They can be big. Um, you can even use your mind's eye to imagine there being leaves. This might be where you stop. You don't have to purchase all these extra clump foliage and be worried did I buy too much or too little. You can stop here if you want. I'm not making any money, so hopefully they don't shut me down for playing music in the background. Today I have been playing music by Jungle, which is a really awesome band. They are up and coming and been up and up, really honestly. But they're really chill, but also like kind of house kind of band, and I really like them. They're truly the vibes. They provide some feature tracks, and then I think Spotify is creating a if you like this, you like that kind of situation. So I don't know all the songs. But Taylor Swift is one I mentioned. So all rights and credit go to them. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm not selling these products even. This is pretty. I'd love to give them the opportunity to have free advertising to the two friends that ever watch this. You may already listen to them. I do not hold the rights. Oh, it's better in person than video. Video just because I'm putting like white ribbing on it. Maybe it looks good to you guys. I hope so. Like I said, every time we do our projects, I get that anxiety. Did I do something wrong? Is everybody going to notice? They're going to be like, ugh, this is ugly. But really, sometimes things get worse before they get better when you're doing your art. And of course, like I've been saying, artists sees mistakes. Mistake you're so personal with it in a way that the viewer has no idea without like studying it for years and years. Most times, people who do art get anxiety. They do a good job, and from outside perspective, it looks so good. Look at those sip and paint nights that people do. They're painting, you don't see them doodling all the time. And they come back to those paint nights with really cool stuff. Easy to compare everybody with their group pictures and like, oh, who's the best, who's my favorite. But you can see some things like, even if it's not the best person I claimed, you see some things people did, and you're like, you know what, that's still better than what I thought I could do. But they came in there thinking the same thing. I don't think I'm that good, but they got taught, did their process, and had fun. Which is the most important thing. And they did took a oil painting class in college. A teacher my parents took a class from. Who painted a portrait that we have in our family house. So it's really cool to work with him. But I did an oil painting class, and we had to do three projects. One was still life, one was landscape, like nature, I guess, landscape portrait, and then the final one that you do is a person or an animal. And the first one I did is my favorite one. I did a still life instead of just doing like fruits in a bowl or whatever. I did it of popcorn in a bowl, and then two cans of Dr. Pepper because it's my favorite soda. because that's what I would do at my house. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna decorate my little apartment, my college apartment. That's what we do. We get decorate popcorn and watch our movies. Call it good, you know. And man, came out really nice. I thought he helped me a lot. He was really impressive. He taught me to do popcorn a certain way, and then I was started working on another portion of that painting, and it was a few days later, and I totally forgot what he taught me. So I just like said, you know, I need to finish this as fast as I can. Really, I can't mess around. So I went really fast on it and kind of did more of an impressionism with the popcorn in the bowl, and it came out so nice compared to what he thought he had taught me at least. And he was so impressed. He was like, "You need to set up more painting classes. You need to switch your major." He was like, "This is the guy. This is our guy right here." Um, and then I did the other two paintings, and so the landscape was okay, but my God, the person is so bad. But that's okay. Not everybody's good at doing person. So I just put a little bit of wet water into this crevice here because I got too much dry brush in that crevice where the paint on the tip of my brush is still kind of wet and just stamped itself in there. That was my goal. I keep somehow getting out of frame. I need to mark where my frame is so I can know to put my stuff in it. Could be wrong. YouTube could be deleting my videos too. You're only seeing this if you're live and nobody's on. To see me do it live, that's okay too. It's just an experiment. And, it's not my original idea. So it's not like I need to have a perfect record of what I did. I'm just taking a stab at these things, I'm doing tutorials. I'm going to take a stab. I'm giving you tips on what I'm doing so you can take your stab at it. This is JVKE, another remix. Okay, so pretty much got total coverage of this dry brush. Some of you may not like the look, and that's okay. You can go a different tone with the dry brush, but I still suggest we wait and see what happens with our ink wash. Now, this is an ink wash that was created, I think, to be dark. This is ready to go, so I think once this is dry, this is how I'm going to start it. But you can see with my black water. I'll take this post-it note that we had earlier. You can see this corner here, this color. I'm just going to dip it in there and show you. So it's like an inky wash. And this is liquid, more liquid than other paints are. So it's not going to just stick to where you place it. It's going to actually want to flow down or deep. So if you hold it sideways, it's going to flow deeper. If you have it face up, it's going to flow down, and that helps create that illusion that the light source is coming from above, which is always, um, a outdoor summertime sunshine look we're going for. But yeah, some people are really good at this, and they get really creative, and they paint in their own shadows and light source and everything, where you can just see the lines of where the shadow would be, even though it's not the actual shadow. Like right now, this is casting the shadow down, right? You see the shadow down here and in here. But they'd actually paint it so that if they wanted the sun to be this angle, where like they paint their own shadow in instead of letting it be a shadow. So even if you held it up to light, you would see a shadow. But I am not at that level. That's just no level. Oh, I see people joining or chatting with me, but I couldn't see it. I'm so sorry. Instagram likes to cancel my feed, so I think it dropped the feed at least. Let's see if it's still on. I'm ready to dry. I'm seeing if my Instagram feed pops back in. Anyway, shout out to cousin Myra and we love you, Billy, and to Tyler Bukes. Love you too. So you guys were chatting earlier. Yeah, this is for miniature tree building, and I'll be posting. Like I said, Instagram is having problems with me wanting to do it live through this service that I use because it's like, wait a minute, how are you in the Bay Area or San Diego at the same time as the Inland Empire area? And you know, just touching up some spots that didn't look like they were perfectly even here. Sorry, probably out of frame for a little bit there. But yeah, I'm loving that the people in the chat earlier were loving jungle. Dry brush dries faster, of course, because your paint's already like partway dry when you're putting it on. So but I know that it's dry in the sense that it's not rubbing off, but sometimes it's not dry in the sense that it's impervious, like acrylic plasticky. So part of what I'm afraid of doing the oil wash too soon, I guess not oil, but just the black wash too soon, is that I will end up with problems where the colors blend together because they're not quite as dry as you thought. But yeah. Instagram live because then I can see if someone chats with me. Sorry, guys. It's like Jungle was a good soundtrack because it's a tree, even though it's like a forest thing. There's trees in the jungle. And who's to say? I mean, I could really mess with this and make a jungle kind of. Oops, I almost got that wet. I'll leave it for a second. I think we got that. We got that jungle vibe going on with the tree that I built. I kind of did a deciduous North American forest, I think, tree rather. I like this recess. I'm gonna put a knothole probably. Knothole where a tree branch used to be. Maybe I put the knothole where this bend is, as if the branch was going this way and broke here. I think I'll do the carving idea I had first, into the side, and then if that doesn't work, I'll put a knothole there, and if it does work out, then I'll put the knothole on this curved branch, or I might do both. Who knows? What do I want? Got some M&Ms. You can see here where it's like really smooth with dry brush. This is where the glue didn't have as much texture as other sections, and so the dry brush, hit everything because it's too smooth, too flat. But I'm you can go in laughter and kind of paint a texture in, like as if there's a texture there, like where I might take a fine tip paintbrush and paint more crevice in there. I also have these little. Hopefully, my party's not watching. It'd be a surprise. These are little Sylvan. My hands are really gross. This is a Sylvan, as in like it's a little person that's a tree. This one has weird branching arms and space, and a skull here. But this is one my friend kind of just dry brushed with gold, and it looks like it's like a tan tree. They're little tree people that fight in Warhammer. I don't play Warhammer, however, I was gifted that, and I had so much fun making those. But I was just thinking, you know what? I can make those guys match my tree that I make here, and then things get moving. Okay, I'm back. All right. Hopefully it's dry enough. This is a cutting board that I got a long time ago to use as like a painting surface and gluing surface, but it has a recess in here. So if any excess of this wash is getting into it, it won't be as big of a deal. It won't like spread out, get on my pants. But pants I wear, I love these gray jeans. We don't sell these anymore. But like the day after I got them, I washed a pen in pocket. It's a huge black stain. So if it did happen, it happens. But we'd rather keep it sort of safe if we could. So this will be the last thing I do before my end of my thing, and I'll take pictures later tonight if it changed as it dries, because this might take a little bit to dry since it's so wet. So you just brush in this very wet, liquidy stuff here, and the goal is that it's gonna hopefully mute some of that stuff down. And if not, let's paint it again. Uh, the layers of acrylic paint will dry into this like rubbery plastic that it is, but the overall goal of it is to keep the texture. But if not, you have to do extra layers of paint. No worries, you got extra protection. So I'm gonna get a lot of it on really quick, and then I'm gonna turn it up like this. Hard to see the camera, so maybe I'll do some of these branches so you can kind of see how the effect is taking place. I'm never taking progress pics. I'm telling you what. You're just gonna see. Here's aluminum foil, and the next day, here's a finished product. That's probably what's gonna happen. We got videos as proof, unless YouTube's deleting them. But oh well. Let them do what they gotta do. We're probably gonna block it on the sense of music copyrights and everything that it loves to do. See where it falls on the ground there. That's okay. We don't want this to look too drippy though, because it will look like, you know, black water rolled down. Like that was the goal, but it's not the goal. I have used this on other miniatures. This is a Star Wars miniature set. So I painted these, I believe, the same colors. No, this one, they're slightly different colors. But this is a flat gray of a ATST chicken walker that we did. And then I got another one, and I put the wash on it. So it has a lot of smooth surfaces, so it wasn't doing what I thought it would do and just be in the crevices. It was leaving these streaks, but I kind of liked the effect of it at the end of the day. It looks like it's dirty. It's been out in the woods or the elements a little bit longer than this one did. This is one that I did that with, and I think we painted it back over because I didn't like it. And of course, I painted the base black because I was done with it, I believe. And this one, yeah, the base is not painted. But yeah, so this is what black wash does on flat surfaces versus like in textures. You're getting it into these little crevices more. Um, Whereas I just painted over a solid again, so that would be the light and the dark of this one, other than this one where it's like kind of melted in. But I did like that weathered effect, so I have one that looks fancy, ready for ceremonial purposes, and one that looks more like, you know, weathered out in the woods. I don't like things to look exactly the same. Even when I paint like a series of guards, I paint them all like with different color scarves or like slightly different color variations. I just like the variations, even if they're wearing the same color uniform. I paint variations in if I can. Um, Partially because I like the variations, and partially because it becomes easier on your table to be able to say, "Hey, I'm shooting at the green one, not the purple one," and you're like, oh, "Okay, gotcha." Instead of saying who's over there, who's over where, and it helps me keep track of their hit points and stuff on paper, pen and paper, as a DM because I write purple guard, teal guard, orange guard, things like that. Guard's just one example. I've done it with the dark elves, where they all look pretty similar. They might be in different poses, but just a quick reference. Like, are you talking about the orange one or the teal one? Or I can say, that teal one moved across the board. I forget who had what hit points, and I'm like, crap, it was the one that was over there. Which one was it? Having it be teal reminds me easier. I think in color, I think. All right, not bad. It looks really dark right now, that angle there. But yeah, I feel like that really muted our paint color of our dry brush with the wash on the surface parts, where that would be streaming on the TSC streaming walker I showed you guys, would be more on this surface where it's like lighter, and then it pools as it dries into the recesses. So it helps mute the colors on the top, and then it sits in the recesses and kind of makes it more of a cohesive look across the thing. Yeah, above it just makes it blank, but yeah, trees are brown, but they kind of end up being gray. As an example. Anyways, I'm gonna let this dry. Thank you guys for watching today on whatever service you have. If you're on right now and you're like, "Oh, what's the rest of it?" I believe my YouTube keeps it, so you can follow at Shiny Silver Serpent on Twitch or YouTube. Uh, or you can, if you're my friend, you're already on here on Instagram and Facebook. But if you'd like to follow me from one of those other services, you can follow me on StabPod on Instagram, StabPod. We were going to do a podcast. We haven't done it yet, but this is our Stab Pod Empire. Take a stab empire, I guess. But thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Don't use this to blackmail me or humiliate me in the future if you can possibly do that. Thank you so much.